Gary! Gary!
In the morning sun, where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow.
Gary!
In the morning sun, where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and room, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and room, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and room, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design.
A question, or you need a design, some design input in your garden, or you've got a question about which plant to plant, or like, I mean, the last garden design, they were looking for a large plantation of plants that would give colour all year round, and we went for crepe myrtles, because crepe myrtles have got blossom and autumn colour and beautiful patterns on the bark, so you've got something of interesting colour all year round, and that's important because some things just give you a short burst in the spring and look a bit ordinary for the whole rest of the year. So if you need help with choosing the right plants, we can certainly help you with choosing the right plants. And choosing the right plants is not just a matter of getting the coloured foliage you want or the coloured flowers you want, but you want ones that also grow in that particular spot. So you take into account the area where you live, what the climate's like, the type of soil, or even the position in the garden, because say the south side of the house can be very shady and the north side can be hot and sunny, and so you need you say like a tractor seed plant with beautiful dark green leaves, you don't put that on the sunny side of the house, you put it on the shady side of the house. So choosing the right plant is all about the position in the garden, the position, your area that you live, the climate where you are, and the soil that you've got in that particular position. So there's quite a lot to take into account to choose the right plants for a particular area.
All right, guys. So just for those of you who've just joined us, this is a live question and answers with Chris. So you can ask him a question you may have on your garden. This is the best opportunity to do it right now, and we'll try to get to every question as it comes. But yeah, start shooting through your questions now for your gardens, or if you have an idea for a garden design or anything like that. That's what Chris was talking about just when we started there. He's basically just here to answer your questions. So let's get you started. Let's get some questions rolling in. And Chris, we've got him for 40 minutes here, so we can answer any questions you might have about the garden. All right, awesome. So we've got, looks like a comment here or a question. Let's just see. Okay, so this one comes to us from Harry. I planted a cousinette over a sand pile. It's gone dry and sad. I dug around it and packed in 2 bags of soil. Do you reckon it will survive? Also, my dichondra is going yellow. Will it perk up with some H2O?
Right, okay, so...
everything was planted 3 months ago and it's west side.
Right,
so
okay.
Hot sun.
So I'd love to see a photo of that cousinette. Cousinette can go sort of fairly sort of brown or browny green and that, and recover. Like often they'll go sort of a browny green and they recover, or even a reddy brown, and they'll recover fine. But when they go sort of a pale light yellow, they're normally gone. So
really? You can't get them back?
If it's sort of all yellow with no green, it's not going to come back. But if I saw a photo, but I've had cousinettes in terrible shape, repotted them, fertilised them, and brought them back looking fabulous. So they can recover.
With a bit of work, though.
With a bit of work, but I'd love to see, if I was to see a photo of it, I would certainly be able to tell you whether it could recover or not.
All right, there you go, Harry. You can send us a photo to sales@hellohelloplants.com.au on the email. That's fine. Yeah,
and dichondra repens, they love the warmer weather. So now that it's warming up, get some Osmocote onto it, give it a bit more water, and they should green up and go berserk.
Will the dichondra be okay on the west side facing sun, do you think? Yeah? Okay, cool. All right, there you go, Harry. There's your answer. All right, next one comes to us from a Ballast Life. Hi, can you please recommend trees to plant along my back fence line? I live in northwestern Sydney and the backyard faces west. I'd like to block my neighbours, ideally a non-deciduous tree. Thank you.
Right, okay. Weeping lily pillies are great. Like weeping lily pillies, particularly in Sydney, they've got a very long growing season. And I think with plenty of water and a little bit of fertiliser, you can get 1.5 metres of growth on a weeping lily pilly in a year. So you can block out your neighbours in no time. So weeping lily pilly is very tough.
That'll go good up there?
Yeah, very few bugs and problems with them. And they what they love, they come from up in North Queensland, and they love tropical rainfall. So if you could, what I say is drown them once a week, water them a couple of times a week, Osmocote on them regularly, and in no time at all, you'll have them doing 1.5 metres a year. And then once you've achieved the height that you want, back off on the water.
All right, perfect. All right, there you go. That was for, last comment, a Ballast Life. Thank you for joining us and thank you for the questions, guys. Harry says thank you. He says it's green on scratching, a little bit brittle. I'm talking about the cousin.
Okay, so I reckon if it's got some green on it, a bit of Osmocote, a bit of extra water, and you should be able to get it back with the warm weather.
Perfect. All right, we'll jump over to TikTok. Delulu Bellas says, hello, I just planted my teddy bear magnolia in my garden, but the leaves seem to be half brown.
Teddy bears have a brown, they have a beautiful dark green glossy top side, and they have a brown pubescence on the underside of the leaf, a brown sort of furry. But if they're going brown on the top side, you're in trouble.
Yeah, so is it brown on the top? Or?
Yeah, and I've seen people get upset about that brown underside.
Really?
Because often people associate brown with death, but that brown underside,
that's how they're meant to be.
I think it's a nature's cold protection, because they come from parts of North America that are very, very cold in the winter.
Oh wow!
And so it's a kind of a cold protection. It's nothing to the brown underside, but brown on top of the leaf would indicate a lack of water.
Yeah.
And then the sun tends to burn a brown patch on the top of the leaf. So if you see brown on top of the leaf, big problems. Brown underside is not natural and normal.
All right, Delulu Bells. So yeah, just check if it's actually the brown underneath, which is meant to be there, or brown on top, and then you'll know whether it's a problem or not. Oz Eurovision says, I have an area that gets almost no sun. Do I go with ferns or something else?
Okay, ferns, no sun, ferns are happy, but there's lots of other choices. And in fact, I had to fill a fernery for a chap the other day, and we were filling a fernery with no ferns. And we planted Japanese Aralia, loves no sun, and we did the spider web form, which has beautiful white patterns on the leaf, and we used things like foxtail ferns, tractor seat plants, and Xanadu philodendron. So we use lots of lots of beautiful foliage plants that you can grow in a no sun situation. So that's just a native violet. And actually, we use lots of native violet. So native violet, Xanadu, tractor
native
seat.
violet grows really good in the shade, doesn't it? Yeah.
Foxtail ferns and Aralia, and also giant bird of paradise if you want a big sort of tropical look there. So ferns are great, but there's lots of other things that you can do too.
Awesome, there you go, Oz Eurovision. There's some suggestions for you. If you want to rewatch any of Chris's answers on this live Q&A, you can do that by following us over on YouTube, and hit subscribe while you're over there, and then you can rewatch this live after we finish, and we'll have this video posted with the answers if you need to rewatch to have see those answers. And for those of you who've just joined us, this is a live question and answers with Chris, or live Q&A, where you can ask him any of your gardening questions. He's got over 60 years of horticultural experience. Also, if you want to have a one-on-one consultation with Chris, you can head over to hellohelloplants.com.au, where we offer a free garden design service. So get your questions rolling in now, and we'll answer them courtesy of Chris. It's a good opportunity for you to find out what you need to know about your garden or plants. All right, next question comes to us from Ansi. I purchased silver birch trees that are growing sideways instead of shooting up. Anything I can do to change this?
Yeah, look, what you can do is birches are interesting. What you'll find is I've often had the situation where the top is broken off a birch tree, and the top of a birch tree normally shoots straight up, and what that is in the top you have an apical bud, and the apical bud has a set of hormones that direct the cells to grow up like that. Now if you get a side branch on a birch and you put a bamboo stake there and you put the side branch up like that and point it up, do you know that the apical hormones will occur in that branch
and
it'll fire and grow straight up? So all you have to do is grab I'd grab the best looking branch that I could, put it up nice and gently, bring it up erect so you don't break it, bring it up nice and erect, attach it. You can use black electrical tape, attach it to a bamboo stake. Bamboo stake's good, like wooden stakes tend to be rough and they can cut through the bark, but a bamboo stake being smooth and round, if you use black electrical tape and tape that onto it, and don't forget to cut it off in 12 months or so, but what will happen is that the apical hormones form in that upward facing branch. When the sun shines on it, and away she fires, and in no time at all you'll have a nice straight birch.
Wow, that's amazing advice.
So it's interesting how nature works, how when you point that branch up, and that idea works with most trees, but it works particularly well with birches.
Beautiful, there you go, Ansi. Fantastic advice, and do give that a go. Let us know how you go with that. Next question comes to us from Big Boy Hank, asking, what hedge would you recommend for shade and poor soil?
Shade and poor soil, a bit of a double whammy. Always you should chop up and mix in a bit of good soil into your poor soil. All poor soil can be improved and fixed. So I'd fix up my poor soil a bit, and then sweet viburnum. And there's various forms of sweet viburnum. Say if you wanted a smaller, denser hedge, you could go for a dense fence, is a very good form. Or you can go for the plain sweet viburnum, or you can go for I probably shouldn't complicate it so much, but there's the
dense fence, is it?
There's a dense fence, and then there's a glossy leaf one. But all of those will do well in a shady spot, and if you do a little bit of work on the soil, they'll do particularly well. And plenty of water, plenty of fertilizer, and they love the shade.
Amazing. All right, there's some suggestions for you, Big Boy Hank. And again, if you want to rewatch any of Chris's answers, you can do that at Hello Hello Plants on YouTube. And this live will be posted there straight after we finish the live in about 30 minutes. Keep them questions coming, everybody. Circling back to Delulu, who said, this is about the teddy bear magnolias. Yes, brown on top. Is there a way to save planted in full sun?
The sun's not the problem. I think maybe if it's only recently planted, I'd dig it up, dig a great big hole, mix some potting mix through it, plant it up high in the hole, put some soil wetter around it, and be much more diligent with the watering, and you should be able to get new green leaves as spring comes on. So I'd say brown on top means that you've dried it out.
All right, perfect. There you go, Delulu. All right, Big Boy Hank asks, would you recommend horticulture as a career?
Horticulture. Actually, people probably. I wonder how many people know what a horticulture really is. Sometimes, like you get a student, and they go to horticulture school, and suddenly they're learning how to start a chainsaw or operate a lawnmower or something like that. And I tend to call that gardening and not horticulture. And horticulture to me is, and the greatest horticulturalist of all time was Luther Burbank. And basically, people would come to him, and like one person came to him and said that they wanted to grow in mass. They wanted to grow baby peas. So what they wanted small peas, and so he looked at how peas procreate and how the genetics work with peas. And what he did was he started growing peas, shelling them, and sorting out the smallest peas and growing those from seed, and then growing them again and getting the smallest peas. And he did that for 4 or 5 generations of taking the smallest peas from a pea pod and growing those peas and getting the smallest peas. And what he created was a whole crop where they'd sow the seed and all they got was baby peas.
Wow.
And he got a small fortune for doing that. And that's pure horticulture. What it is where people, so they wanted, this particular company wanted to can baby peas, and so instead of sorting the peas and peeling out the baby ones, they wanted to have whole crops of baby peas. And so he was able to use his knowledge and manipulate the pea to produce all baby peas. And he made his own set of encyclopedia, and he made thousands of things. So horticulture is where there's a need or requirement. Like the sort of thing that you could have is that Chinese people love to have blossom for their New Year. Now, back in China and Japan, the blossom trees come at the New Year time, or New Year's been determined when the blossom comes. And here they want to have, but here it's midsummer and it's not the blossom season. So if you had the problem that I want blossom at New Year's time, a horticulturalist is the type of specialist who could invent a way to have a spring blossom at Christmas. That's what a horticulturalist to do, and I'm a horticulturalist, so I'm a person who, people say, we need a hedge that does this, or we need this that does that, and I can manipulate the plant, manipulate chemicals, use refrigeration, use tissue culture, use all the different processes. And your great horticulturalist is a person who can produce almost anything to do almost anything. So it's not. So a gardener tends to sort of stick some plants in the garden and say, oh, they didn't flower, or they flowered real good, but they're not in full control. Whereas a horticulturalist can control and manipulate and create outcomes that have never even occurred before. And so and horticulture is fundamental to a civilization. So for a civilization to have enough fuel, to have enough clothing, to have enough food, to have the right food, to have fabulous, interesting things to eat, at the basis of that is horticulture. So is horticulture a great profession? And what's interesting, Luther Burbank, greatest horticulturalist that ever lived, was in the 10 richest people in America, and that was at the time that Henry Ford was also in the 10 richest people. So he was in the 10. He accumulated enormous wealth, sort of in the league of Elon Musk or something like that. He accumulated that type of wealth from doing horticulture. And what he did was it was at a time when America was changing from where they could barely feed themselves to where they were becoming a very viable economy, and people were wanting to enjoy life and enjoy their food and not just have enough, but have interesting, exciting things to eat. And he helped create that America by breeding thousands of new plants.
Wow.
And so horticulture understood and applied properly is is as valuable to a society as philosophy or economics or something like that. It's a very, very valuable and fundamental building block for a society.
Wow, there you go, big boy Hank. Nice long answer for you, but I think a very insightful one. That's awesome, Chris. Love that. All right, so yeah, if that's something you want to pursue, go for it. Sounds really interesting. Okay, so Oz Eurovision says, awesome, thank you. And just for those of you who might have just joined us, we're doing a live Q&A with Chris where you can ask him, pick his brains, his horticultural expertise.
Actually, I'll just say one more thing on that. If I was going to advise, if somebody wanted to do really, like, often people confuse horticulture with nursery or horticulture with gardening, and I don't. And if you wanted to get a quick understanding of horticulture, go buy yourself, and I've got the original copies of Luther Burbank's encyclopedia.
Can you still get them, the encyclopedias?
But, yeah, but okay. There's reprints of it.
Okay.
And if you went and bought yourself a reprint of Luther Burbank's encyclopedia, and it's one man who produced 2 sets of encyclopedia in a lifetime. If you went and bought yourself a copy of that and read it, or read parts of it, you would gain a greater understanding of horticulture than what any professor or anybody could teach you today, because he was the greatest horticulturalist of all time, and all of his studies, all of his inventions, everything he thought is all written down in encyclopedia that anybody could use and use to create new plants. And he gives you some amazing clues on how you could do certain things. Like one of the things he was working on, and people are actually getting closer to it today, is that tomatoes and potatoes are very closely related, and he was mad keen to have a plant that produced potatoes and tomatoes simultaneously. Well, I believe that that's become very close, but he laid down he did the fundamental work on having a tomato potato or
That's
a potato
so
tomato.
So the tomatoes grew on top, potatoes under the ground.
And so he was interested in having, he wanted higher production from horticulture. And that was one of thousands of things that he worked on. But he laid down the basis of that. But he laid down the basis of a lot of things. So anybody who wanted to really pursue horticulture would be best to start with the source. And he invented the modern petunia, the modern potato, modern wheat. He invented most of the modern things that he laid down the foundations of it. And so if you were to go and get a set, the originals are a bit expensive and hard to get, but if you get a reprint of his encyclopedia and start reading it, that is the best text in the world for horticulture.
All right, perfect. There you go. Lovely information indeed. All right, we better keep going with our live Q&A. Thank you so much to everyone who's asking us lots of questions. Oz Eurovision said that was super interesting, what you're talking about there. Luther Burbank, isn't it?
Luther Burbank, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we'll keep getting to your questions, guys. Just hang in there. All right, next one comes to us from 1 in a million. Looking for a feature tree. Small, non-invasive roots, east-facing Melbourne in wind pocket. Thank you.
So east-facing Melbourne in
windy pocket.
And a feature tree.
Small feature tree, non-invasive roots.
Non-invasive. I've got a Japanese elm called Mushashino, or a fastigiate hornbeam. I think the Mushashino would be nicer, but the Mushashino Japanese elm, beautiful leaves, kind of as delicate, not the same as, but as delicate and beautiful as a Japanese maple, lovely and dense, beautifully compact tree, fabulous autumn colour, loves the wind and would grow in a very compact for a small area. So that's a Mushash, and we do have some of them here. That's a Mushashino Japanese elm, and it's an interesting thing because people are getting a little bored with the capital ornamental pears, and I've started to go into production of Mushashino Japanese elms because I feel that they are the plant that could take over from the capital pear that people are getting a little bored with.
All right, there you go, 1 in a million. And again, if you want to hear any of Chris's answers, you can head over to YouTube after this live's finished. We'll post it and you can re-watch to hear the answers to your questions. We're going to just jump back over to one of the other platforms, Instagram, then we'll come back to TikTok and answer your questions there in a moment, so hang in there. Katie Emily Rickard asks, "Hi Chris, I want to put some kind of tree in my yards that I can decorate at Christmas time. Maybe a pine tree of some sort. What's something that doesn't grow too large but is still a nice statement?"
Okay.
And that they can decorate at Christmas time
Yeah.
would be the main.
You know, I don't get to say this very often, so I kind of enjoy it. But there's one called a Picea albertiana nana compacta, and and
Longest
anyway,
word in the English vocabulary.
yeah, and so it's basically it's a dwarf spruce, and
What's it got a common name? I could drop it in the comments maybe.
yeah,
It's quite a long name.
I don't know. You could make Picea, or like in the trade, people call them Albertianas. They say, like if I was ringing up one of my suppliers, I'd say, "Have you got any Albertianas, mate?" So it's right. So rather than saying, and I never get to say Picea Albertiana nana. I just say, "You got any of them Albertianas?"
Is it the dwarf Alberta white?
Yeah.
Would that fit the bill? Oh,
Yeah.
Cool.
So dwarf Albertiana. Now what's good, we had one in our garden when I was a kid, and it was about
cool.
15 or 20 years old, and it was only about 1.8 metres tall. And so if you buy one of those, it takes many, many years to get it up a couple of metres tall. The unfortunate thing, they're getting a little bit hard to get, but basically I feel that the Picea albertiana nana compacta is beautiful. A lot of spruces grow way too big, way too quick, but it doesn't grow too big too quickly, and it looks good enough to be a sort of a centerpiece in the garden, and it doesn't look so much. It doesn't look like it's only a Christmas tree, so it kind of fulfills and the other one that would do that, that's cheaper and more readily available, is a conifer called a smaragd, S-M-A-R-A-G. So a smaragd conifer, beautiful, neat little conical one, or the Albertiana, which
Alberta
is
Picea.
Yeah,
Picea. It says dwarf. It's on our website. It's dwarf Alberta white spruce.
Yeah,
They look really nice.
yeah. So that would be the two that I would consider.
All right. I was just trying to drop it in our comments section there for you. I'm just struggling a bit. I might get one of the producers to do that, Katie. But I do have the link here. We'll try and put that in the comments section. All right. We'll ask the next question while that's happening. All right. So this one comes. We're still over on Instagram, and we'll jump back to TikTok soon. So hang in there, guys. Nick asks, any plants to plant for 50 to 70% screening in a pots east facing, not climbers? Any suggestions? Also, do you provide service for landscaping?
No, I can recommend landscapers from time to time, but we don't do the landscaping ourselves. And what they want is they want something that's, what was the word?
So is any plants to plant for 50 to 70% screening in a pots east facing, not climbers?
In a pot.
Yes, it's got to grow in a pot, 50 to 70% screening. I don't know what that means.
What that means, it means that you're still a little bit see-through.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, I see. Not 100%. Yeah, right. And then not climbers. What would grow good in pots? It's not a climber, and you can sort of see through it.
I wonder what height you would like in a pot.
Yeah, that's probably a
Yeah.
determining factor there. Nick, if you want to...
Actually, a great pot plant, like say you wanted something that was only a metre or a metre and a half tall, a metre to a metre and a half tall and 70% and slightly see-through, you could use a carokia. And I've got lovely big carokias here, and you can sort of see through them, but they obscure nicely. That would be one. And what else would you use in a pot that would do that? Be a bit see-through. Sasanqua camellia would be the other one. So Emlyn, Sasanqua camellia, or being a little offbeat.
Sasanqua camellia,
Sasanqua camellia, they'll live for a long time in a pot. They'll live for year after year after year in a pot.
And good in east facing, isn't it?
Yeah, love the east facing,
Yeah.
and they need a bit of fertiliser, a bit of water. Or the other sort of weird one would be carokia.
Okay.
So your carokia.
Is that Muhlenbeckia? That's different.
No, different. And it's quite a bit see-through, and it's not. It's a freestanding. It's a bush, not a climber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
that's two ideas: carokia And
yeah, I
that's-
know the one now. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I've got one. They're great. Yeah.
It's a Sanqua camellia.
Correct, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, hopefully that helps you out there, Nick. You can search for any of those products on our website. And again, if you need to hear the answers again, just watch us on YouTube straight after this live finishes. We'll post this live. Welcome to the live Q&A, everybody that's here. And you can pick Chris's brains with a question, horticultural expertise of over 60 years. Thank you for all the questions, guys. We are trying to get to all of them, so hang in there as your question comes around. Abs for you all has asked a couple of questions there, so I'll try and combine them all into one. I don't know if I understand this. Hopefully you do. Is there a free plant from pit? I don't know what that means. Chris, do you know what that means?
A free plant.
But it's not. It's FRE for plants from pit. That's okay, Abs for maybe
What's the rest of the question?
well, then there's another comment. Is there a good time during the day to replant from pot to ground?
No, look, I would do that any time, and normally I would water the plant first, and then have it well watered, then pop it out and plant it any time of day. I don't think there's a particular time that's important.
Awesome, and then the producers have just told us we managed to get that link of the Picea Alberta into the comment section.
Yeah.
So I think that was for Emily or Katie. Katie, I think. Check that out. Check out the link in the comment section there. And then Abs. Okay, so that one's answered. Thank you. And then Abs for you all also asked, can you water plants at night or only during the day when there is light?
I water plants whenever I want to. Like I think it's only where watering plants in the day would be a problem is if you had bore water that was perhaps a bit salty and it would affect the leaves.
Yeah.
And you might water them at night time.
Okay.
But generally with good water you water any time.
Perfect.
And then there might be certain things you can't, like some of your cactuses and succulents you don't want to overwater, and even lavender you don't want to overwater. And the other thing you can easily overwater is like things like your cordylones.
Yeah. What about in summertime though? Would you water like when the sun's sort of?
I'll water any time of the day. We water,
right.
and you water it when
matter.
the plant needs it. And I think it's a little bit of an old wives' tale about not watering in the sun and things like that.
Okay, there you go, Abs for you all. All right, Katie says found it. She got the link. That's awesome. And Nick did put in around 2 meters in height for that pot's east-facing.
Right, so it's the Sanqua camellia. Your Carokia is not going to make it to 2 meters, or it'll take forever. But I reckon it's the Sanqua camellias, and they are quite see-through.
All right, there you go.
And they're great in a pot for a long time, for many years.
Awesome. That sort of defines your choice a bit better. So Camellia Sasanka. All right, we'll hang in there, Instagrammers. We're going to just jump over to our other platform here and get through the questions over on TikTok. Twisheries says, I brought one Pacific Blue plant. It is not really growing flowers. Does this require pruning? Pacific Blue.
Pacific Blue should flower. I noticed them just coming into flower, and they may be, and I noticed that quite small ones flower pretty well. So if it's a year old, it should definitely be flowering. Now, with a plant that doesn't flower, that should be flowering, sometimes when plants are really happy, like they've got lots of nitrogen, they're growing like crazy, they don't flower. And there's a problem called, not a problem, there's a fertilizer called, what is it? Magic Grow.
Okay, Magic Grow, is it?
Magic Grow, and it's an American product, and you can buy it in Bunnings. And anyway, that's high phosphorus, and it's a liquid fertilizer. And if you use that, you can get plants that are reluctant about flowering. I've never seen anything you couldn't make flower beautifully with it. And it's got very low nitrogen, high phosphorus, and it's got almost toxic phosphorus levels in it that puts the brakes on growth and makes it go to flower.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Twisheries, there you go. Twisheries also commented, they woke up today and my Devon Skies flowers are gone, but the stem, how do I avoid this? Devon Skies flowers are gone, but the stem.
Something must have eaten them.
Yeah. Maybe, can you see any bugs, or would it be some...
It could be like a possum or a kangaroo or something.
Oh, it could be something big.
Yeah,
right,
something
okay.
big, yeah. And that's a pity. Hopefully you'll get some more flowers in it, because they flower for months. You should get some more flowers in another week or two. And maybe you could put some little bamboo stakes or something around them to discourage something from eating them.
Okay. All right, there you go, Twisheries. Yeah, it could have been a local animal nearby.
Yeah.
Someone just yelled hello, hello out of a window, out of a car. That's lovely. And did you hear that, Chris?
Yeah.
And then Nanny says howdy, howdy. We love the hello, hellos. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. So howdy, howdy.
Yeah, Nanny says, is it best to cut the first smallest buds off a standard rose?
Yeah. Look, right now, you got your bush forming, and the first couple of buds aren't going to be that good anyway. So it doesn't hurt to remove them and build up the strength for the big flowering in the next month or so.
All right, there you go, Nanny. That answers that for you. Ella asks, hi, I love Lily of the Valley, but they always die after a week. I'm in Melbourne. Any tips?
Well, Lily of the Valley want rich, fertile soil, plenty of fertilizer, and shade. A tiny bit of morning sun, but no afternoon sun. And look, we had beautiful ones here a week ago, and they've all turned brown. I reckon it's one of those sort of brief but beautiful experiences when you lily of the valley flowers. What you've got to do is really enjoy them while they are flowering, and understand that they are fleeting. But they're fabulous fragrance. It's a beautiful experience in spring to have lily of the valley flower.
All right, there you go, Ella. Just cherish the moment when they're in flower, I guess.
Yeah.
Sparkheart says an abracadabra. I think they were talking about when you're talking about the Picea alberta.
Oh, right.
That, can you say it again, the whole word?
Picea albertiana nana compacta.
There you go. It sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
Yeah.
All right, Livra asks, hedge plants with non-invasive roots, please.
So what you want like your hedges that are really trees are the ones that are most invasive. And if you've got something like a bush, a medium sort of bush that's not going to be like I went out to a winery out in the Yarra Valley, and they had hedges of loopy-loo grevillea, and they were covered in these beautiful yellow and orangey sort of flowers, and it was beautiful. And I'm sure that loopy-loo wouldn't have a bad root system. And another one, I was doing a garden design for a lady on the weekend, and I recommended an Escallonia ivei. Now, Escallonia ivei is just a big bush. It's not a tree that you're cutting down, and so it's never going to have a big root system. So something like an Escallonia. If you get something that doesn't set out to be a great big tree, you're going to have a much safer root system than, say, your ficus and your lily pillies that all want to be big trees in the end.
So, like, what about boxleaf privet or something like that?
Boxleaf privet is just a bush.
Yeah.
So boxleaf privet, Escallonia.
What about Dutch and English, those ones?
Yeah, Dutch and English box, Japanese spindle bush. All of those are bushes and not trees.
Alright, there you go.
And they only have bush-sized root systems.
Yeah, so just keep it as a bush hedging plant, and you'll be right. Harkick says hello Frank Walker, or hello Frank Walker.
hello.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not quite, but similarities indeed with the advertising.
Yeah,
you'd say
that's
that,
right. That consistency. Both of us have done the same style of advertising, and done it quite intensely for a long time.
Yeah. At user 65 says, is there a reason why my gardenia flowers have gone brown before flowering?
Okay, I had a customer come in with that problem, and I rang a gardenia expert, and he said, peel back the petals on the bud and have a look. He said, is it full of little thrip? And I peeled it back, and there was this horrible little black thrip there under the petals. And so I told him to use some Con-Guard to wipe out those little things and not have that problem. And the gardenia, and this gardenia expert is a guy who grows some of the best gardenias in Australia. He said that it's either stress, which is lack of water, lack of fertilizer, or it's these little tiny bugs that get inside the buds. And in this case, I had a customer bring brown buds in. We peeled them back, as he said, and there was like a little colony of tiny black insects under the
all right.
things.
There you go, at user65, check and see if that little colony of bugs is in your plant as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic, let us know. All right, we'll come back to TikTok in a moment, so stay there with your questions as we get through them all here. Sylvia on YouTube says, hi Chris, at your last live you showed a little Japanese juniper to grow as a bonsai or in a pot. Before I order it, what conditions does it like?
I'd say minimum half day sun, probably morning sun would be better, but all day sun would be fine. And you'd need to water regularly, and they're kind of maxed out in the pot that they're in. So I'd go to a bigger size pot so that it doesn't dry out too easily, and it's got plenty of fertilizer and plenty of everything that it needs. So those ones that we've got for sale are immediately ready for a bigger pot.
Okay. All right, there you go, into a bigger
they
pot,
love
Sylvia.
it, and I would use Osmocote on them, and once a year you could give them a nice little dose of, and sometimes I say lime and people think I mean lime juice, but I don't. I mean calcium type lime, which is your white powder stuff.
All right.
And so you give them a nice little dose of lime once a year.
Yeah, and you can grow it in a pot.
Yeah.
All right, Sylvia, check that one out. It's very nice indeed. Jerky Wes on YouTube also has a question here. Hi, I'm planted some flowering ash at Toowoomba. The area gets sun all day and good soil with good drainage. How tall will they get? I've planted them 4 meters apart.
Okay, so there's two sorts of things that go under the name of flowering ash. One is Fraxinus ornis, a little bit unusual, and that'll grow about 6 meters. And then the other one is Griffithii, which I think would eventually there do 5 or 6 meters. So Griffithii tend to be a little bit more compact than Ornis. Ornis has a beautiful blue flower, whereas the Griffithii is evergreen, dense dark green foliage, and has a beautiful creamy white flower that looks like a sort of a creamy white cloud over the green foliage, and very, very nice. Both of them are really nice trees, but Ornis is these days quite unusual.
And they'll grow really good in Toowoomba, wouldn't they?
Yes, they would. Either Ornis or Griffithii would do beautifully in Toowoomba.
Okay, great. Sylvia says, awesome, we'll order now, thank you.
Great.
That's for the Japanese juniper bonsai. And we'll jump over to Instagram now, and if you're on another platform, just hang in there, we're getting to your question. Bells Smells says, what blueberry varieties can you recommend for growing in a pot?
I think any blueberry, like we have blueberries in pots here all the time, and blueberries do great in pots. It's a matter of, and we've got some good sized 6-inch pots here now, but it's a matter of going to a good big pot and using a top quality potting mix and then keeping them really well fertilised. And they seem to want to be out of the real hot afternoon sun, and particularly in a pot. And you might even put, to keep them really moist and nice, so you might grow them in a saucer and just allow them to sit in a little bit of water too. But I think any blueberry, great in a pot.
All right, there you go, Bell Smells. Just, there you go, any blueberry variety in a pot, no problem. Circling back to YouTube, Jerky Wes says mine is the white flowering one, that's the ash.
Oh, right, so that's the Fraxinus Griffithii, which is the one I suspected you might have up there. It's sort of fairly popular up in northern New South Wales and southern Queensland.
Okay, excellent. All right, good. And Nick says thank you. T. Gaindeo says, what is the best indigenous plant for birds in Melbourne?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
What have I noticed really? Look, I'd imagine something like a coastal banksia really seems to bring the birds around. That's
Yeah.
You get that nice big wattle birds and things.
I had that native hibiscus at my last place. That seemed to get a lot of birds too. That was a native, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, but the only thing is the flowering period isn't that long.
It's not long, yeah.
And when your native hibiscus in flower, it's got nice fragrance, it does bring the birds. But what I was thinking, why I said coastal banksia, is that they flower for most of the year, so they're giving out a bit of bird food all the time.
Yeah, okay. Check out the coastal banksia. That was for, I lost the name, sorry, T. Gaindeo. I'm probably butchering that name up. XX Tari asks, any suggestions about growing a potted avocado seed? Sprouting now, it's been 3 months.
Right.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grow your own avocados.
Basically, what you want is a sheltered position, like not in a real windy, exposed spot, and a bit of a sun trap, plenty of sun, and some nice deep loose soil. So nice deep loose soil. So you might mound it up, you might mound the soil up a little bit. So deep loose soil, plenty of sun, and a little bit sheltered from severe winds, and you've got the perfect spot for your avocado. And what's interesting, I think, is that avocados are a really handsome tree, and so even without fruit, there's still a nice thing to have around.
Beautiful. All right, there you go, XX Tari. And I do need to let all of our viewers know right now, unfortunately, we do have to wrap this live up very soon. Chris has an appointment straight after this live. So we'll go 3 more questions and then we'll be out. But thank you so much to everyone for all of your questions. We really appreciate it every week. And you can join us next week. We'll do the live Q&A again every Monday at 12 o'clock. We do it. So you can just join us on the next live. If your question didn't get answered, we do apologize. XX Tari also just on the back of that last one there, Chris, with the avocado, just said they're rehydrating persimmon fruit seeds. How should I go about to ensure its success?
I've never grown persimmon from seed, and I believe they're a little bit tricky. So what I do is I go online, and I find almost anything you want to grow from seed, go online and people put down lots of good information on growing it from seed. But because persimmons are scarce and expensive, I would imagine that persimmon seed is quite difficult to grow, and I'd study up a little bit before I did it.
Perfect. All right, XX Tari says thank you to that as well. Avril asks, thoughts on using bore water on native garden or veggie garden? I read a mix of things online.
Okay.
Bore water.
The thing is that bore water varies enormously in quality, and really, if you're going to use your bore water, you really need to get it tested and see what you've got. You can get a bit of an idea by tasting it, but there's no substitute for getting it tested. And then at the same time, you might see as to some sort of treatment. I've even heard of people desalinating their bore water. You know, putting a little desal plant on it. Yeah. And desalinating it. So you get it. It's so you can fix your bore water, but really there's no substitute for testing your bore water because you don't want to salinate your garden. And if it's mildly salty, you still need to. And that's interesting is that with foliar feeding, with the right foliar feeding, you can actually overcome mild salt effects on your plants. But salt can have, a bad effect on your plants, and you've really got to, monitor that. And there's lots of things you could do. You could shandy your bore water, but look, your bore water could be good, and you could use it straight. It might even taste terrible and still be good. So get it tested and find out the parameters of what you can do with it.
All right, there you go, Avril. That sounds exciting. And thank you so much for all of your questions. We'll just jump back over to TikTok and then we'll wrap up the live here. Trisha just says they don't see a bug, but the flower bulb is all gone. That was on the gardenias.
What's got all gone?
The bulb is all gone, like the flower bulb, like the actual bud is gone.
Yeah, it sounds to me what you need to do is get a fresh bud that's just starting to discolour and take that apart, and I bet you'll find a sort of a colony of little black thrip under inside the bud.
Yeah, great. And then Trisha just comments, bamboo spikes is a good idea. Thank you, Chris. Ariana, we'll have to make this the last question because we've got to wrap it up now. Ariana's asked, do sweet Acyllum or Lissum have very big roots?
No, it's a very, very inoffensive and wonderful plant. And what's beautiful is sweet Alyssum has a beautiful flower. You can get it in white, pink or purple or mixed colours. But what's fabulous is not only do you have these beautiful flowers, but you have fabulous fragrance, and it's a plant that persists year after year after year. Even though you can buy it in amongst with other annuals and things, it's really a perennial.
All right, perfect. All right, we've got to wrap it up there. Yes, thank you, Avril, saying very interesting. Thank you. Thank you to everyone's questions. Sorry we didn't get to everybody's questions, but we do appreciate having you here, and you can just join us on the live Q&A next week if you want to ask Chris another question on this live. Otherwise, you can just book in a free garden design over at hellohelloplants.com.au, where you'll get a one-on-one consultation for the free garden design service with Chris, and you can have your whole garden's questions answered in that, couldn't you, Chris?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So we'll be back. Actually, we've got another live for our live Big Spring Clean Out this Friday. You can join us at 12 o'clock. Otherwise, join us next Monday at 12 o'clock for the live Q&A. And thank you so much for joining us.
And what happens at the Big Spring Clean Out is that we're going to go out to the growers this week and we're going to find what they want to clear out. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring you 100 really good, strong, big offers. So you get 100 nice, big, strong offers. And I'll take you through them all and explain them to you to help you with your choosing. And the idea of each of those Friday sales is that I try and choose a range of plants from what's available. I'll choose a range of plants so that people can do a whole garden project on the cheap. You'll find there'll be colourful little cottage plants, there'll be hedging plants, there'll be border plants, there'll be weeping plants, there'll be basically everything you need to put together it's not our full range of plants, only 100 different sorts, but you'll be able to put together a garden project on the cheap. So if you're doing a garden project on the budget, maybe you're fixing up a property to sell, this is the thing to do a whole project on the cheap. And I take you through them all and tell you what they're good for and how to use it with something else and answer questions and basically run you through that 100 products that we're putting up cheap, direct from the grower.
Perfect. All right, we hope to see you there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, thank you.